35 years, the Keddie murder mystery is closer than ever to being solved. And tonight, we're showing you new evidence just discovered.
But as CBS 13's Tony Lopez tells us, old questions still linger. What's taken so long to close the book on this horrific crime?
It was a quiet, chilly evening in April 1981 when the Sierra Nevada mountains stood cloaked in pine and shadow. Tucked in a forgotten pocket of Northern California, the tiny town of Keddie blinked under the dim porch lights of rustic cabins and trailers, a relic of a once bustling railroad resort turned low-income housing. Cabin 28, a modest wooden structure just off the tracks, held no hint of the horror that would soon unfold within its walls. Sue Sharp, a recently separated mother of 5, had relocated to the quiet mountain community of Keddie, California, in hopes of rebuilding her life. Despite financial struggles, Sue did everything she could to support her family, working odd jobs, relying on food stamps, and creating a warm home for her kids. On the night of April 11, 1981, her 14-year-old daughter, Sheila Sharp, decided to sleep over at a nearby friend's house. The next morning, just after 7:00 a.m., Sheila returned to Cabin 28. As she stepped through the door, an eerie silence greeted her. What she discovered inside would shatter her innocence and change the town forever. Her mother, brother, and a family friend killed in the living room. It was a scene so horrifying, it would haunt investigators and the community for decades. Inside Cabin 28, the living room had transformed into a dreadful scene. Her mother, Sue Sharp, lay bound and beaten on the floor. Beside her were the lifeless bodies of 15-year-old John Sharp, Sheila's brother, and his friend Dana Wingate. The boys were found deceased under suspicious and violent circumstances, with what would later be identified as a hammer and a knife. Furniture was overturned. It didn't just look like a crime scene, it looked like a message. But what truly sent chills through Sheila was the deafening silence. Her younger siblings, Rick, Gray, and their friend Justin Smartt, had all been sleeping in the next room. Somehow, despite the carnage that unfolded just feet away, they were untouched. And worse still, 12-year-old Tina Sharp, Sue's daughter, was nowhere to be found. When law enforcement arrived, they were immediately overwhelmed. The brutality was unlike anything Plumas County had ever seen. The front door showed no sign of forced entry. The phone lines had been cut. Investigators noted that the violence seemed personal. The initial investigation floundered. Officers failed to secure the scene properly. Critical evidence was lost. Potential witnesses weren't interviewed promptly. Local authorities seemed out of their depth. And worse, unwilling to ask for help. The sheriff at the time, Doug Thomas, declined FBI assistance, insisting his team could handle it. But the trail was already going cold. Speculation ignited. Who could commit such a savage act, then leave 3 children alive, undisturbed? Why take Tina? Rumors began to swirl. Drugs, revenge, a botched burglary. But one theory quickly rose to the surface: Marty Smartt. Marty was the stepfather of Justin Smartt, the boy who'd been sleeping in the next room. He lived nearby, in Cabin 26, with his wife Marilyn. Marty was known around town as volatile, angry, and emotionally erratic. He reportedly hated Sue Sharp, and when he and Marilyn separated shortly after the murders, things got even more suspicious. In the days following the crime, Marty wrote several letters to Marilyn, desperate, bizarre notes begging for reconciliation. In one, he mentioned losing 4 lives because of her. For years, this was interpreted by some as a confession, a subtle nod to the 3 murdered victims and the missing Tina. But when you read Marty's full letters, rather than just the widely circulated photo clipping taken out of context, the meaning becomes more nuanced. The lines that once seemed like a veiled confession begin to shift in tone. The Keddie Cabin murders remain one of America's most haunting unsolved crimes. In 1981, 4 people were brutally murdered in Cabin 28 in Keddie, California. Suspicion quickly fell on Marty Smartt, who, in a letter, hinted at sacrificing his relationship with his children due to his wife's animosity toward them. Though his words seemed ominous, the full context suggested emotional manipulation more than guilt. Still, Marty's actions didn't help his case. He left Keddie abruptly after the murders and made disturbing, possibly incriminating remarks while drunk. One witness even claimed Marty confessed to the killings at a bar. Then there was Boubede, a drifter and ex-con with murky ties. He and Marty had only known each other briefly before the murders but became inseparable. Bo claimed he had been a Chicago cop, while others believed he had mafia or FBI connections. Some theorized that Bo was an informant protected by federal agencies, but this was never confirmed, and no concrete evidence ever tied him to the crime. In 1984, Tina Sharp's skull was found over 100 miles from Keddie, her remains scattered across a remote forest floor. Her death reignited the case, briefly, but it soon went cold again. By the early 2000s, amateur sleuths took up the case online. Theories flourished, from cults to conspiracies involving corrupt law enforcement. Some even pointed fingers at Sheila Sharp, the teen who discovered the scene, but that theory collapsed under logical scrutiny. Ultimately, the biggest failure lay with the investigation itself. Mishandled evidence, refusal to seek outside help, and amateur decisions, like using hypnosis on children, crippled the case from the start. In 2016, new evidence, including a possible murder weapon and DNA, brought hope, yet no arrests followed. The chilling questions remain. Why was Tina taken? Why were others spared? Was it Marty and Bo or someone else entirely? The silence surrounding Cabin 28 speaks volumes, a grim reminder that justice was never served, and maybe never will be.